Morning. I've just been looking at one of Noel Plum 99's videos on evolutionary psychology, which is, as usual with Noel Plum's videos, very well made. I don't want to address the video itself, although I might come back to it. But it's really I'm interested in a comment that I read, which was from Phil Hellenes, who hasn't made videos for a while, so it's good to see he's making comments at this point. And he says that he regards, he doesn't regard evolutionary psychology or psychology in general as a real science, he says. And that really caught my eye, that he puts real in scare quotes. That psychology and evolutionary psychology aren't real sciences, and that got me wondering what that meant really. Because I think when we talk about sciences, we don't usually categorize them in terms of whether they're real or not, but I do think we categorize them in terms of other things, particularly in how we tend to use words like hard and soft, don't we? I think we talk about the hard sciences, physics, chemistry, are the kind of archetypically hard sciences, prototypically hard sciences, you might say. And as you move more towards biology, towards the social sciences, towards psychology, and towards the outer edges of psychology, particularly outer edges, let's think about that. Then we tend to regard them as softer sciences, don't we? And that phrase is used quite a lot. It seems to me that what we're doing there is we're metaphorizing what science is, aren't we? We're metaphorizing our knowledge, and we're kind of fueling our intuitions, or possibly drawing on our intuitions of what knowledge is, what science might be, what certainty is, what doubt might be, what things that can be trusted are, what authority is, what kinds of authority we should submit to. We're trying to understand that complex set of ideas in terms of metaphorical objects, metaphorical substances. When we say something's hard, we usually mean it's fixed, it's rigid, we can build things with it, we can stand on it, we can make tools out of it, we can shape it and it'll maintain that shape, it'll persist over time, it's clearly bounded, it's not vague, we're not going to break it just by handling it. When we say things are hard, that's the kind of, those are the entailments of that phrase, those are the implications of that. And if we want to refer to a set of facts, which again are clearly bounded, don't change over time, perhaps have the permanence of an eternal truth, like the physical laws of nature seem to have, then, and all the rest of those qualities, we treat it as if it's a fact. We treat it as if it's a kind of metaphorical object, metaphorical substance, like a hard substance, like steel, like concrete, like rock. And so we talk about the laws of nature, we talk about the atomic weight of mercury, the things that we talk about, those things, those kinds of facts, the subjects of certain kinds of physical sciences as if they were hard objects. But then again, when we want to talk about less stable ideas that do change a little bit, that don't have clearly bounded edges, that do change over time, that are fragile conditions, if we change the experimental conditions even slightly, then the results change dramatically. The results of chaos, the results of complexity, the results of the kinds of things you find in biological systems, for example, which are incredibly complex compared to physical systems. Very small changes in biological systems create dramatic effects. When we're trying to deal with those facts, we can't rely on them in quite the same way, or we have to treat them perhaps statistically rather than as pointing towards inevitable, stable, and eternal kind of truths. When we're dealing with those, then we can't use the same metaphor. We can't talk about these things as if they were pieces of rock or steel that always have the same boundaries and that will persist eternally over time. We have to treat them as if they're much more friable objects, spongy, with uncertain boundaries, perhaps a little bit viscous, perhaps a little bit liquidy, perhaps a little bit softer. And when you deal with social sciences, that's even more so. You can still use scientific processes, you can use the survey, you can use the cross-cultural comparisons, you can still use all those tools that social scientists and anthropologists and so on use, but you have to treat the facts differently. They're still facts, they're still they still point towards truth, don't they? But they're, as I say, they don't have the same quality. They don't have the same metaphorical, substantive aspects. You can't treat them as hard, solid objects. And psychology, I think, in many cases is one of those, and evolutionary psychology particularly so, largely because of the extent of the claim that which it makes. I've certainly seen evolutionary psychology claims which are extraordinarily extravagant, as well as ones that I think everyone would have no problem agreeing with. And it's that indistinct boundary between the kinds of facts which are almost self-evident and certainly demonstrable through the methods I've already described. The difference between those kinds of boundaries to knowledge and those kind of defining features to, as I say, some quite extraordinary claims which are almost impossible to demonstrate, which creates this fuzzy edge, this instability in the kind of knowledge you're getting. But I wouldn't say it's not real for that because of that. The kinds of knowledge which emerges from the social sciences, from the softer sciences, is softer knowledge. That doesn't mean to say it's not knowledge. You just have to deal with it. If you're a sculptor, dealing with steel is one option, but some sculptors do indeed deal with much softer substances, and you make different constructions, but you can still do things with it if you know how to sculpt with clouds, like the cloud sculptors of Coral D, which is a great short story by I can't remember. Anyway, cloud sculptors of Coral D. Yeah, so sculpting with clouds is a little bit like that. So I wouldn't say that soft sciences lead to unreal knowledge. I would say they lead to soft knowledge, but it's still knowledge and it's still science. Thank you.